So the question is, I've never been able to date successfully. I'm 34. I've only been on a handful of dates. I've never felt that anyone was ever interested in me. I'm pretty sure things aren't going to change. What can I do if no one seems into me? Yeah, I think it's something deep within you that you are specific. It's going to sound interesting, but just stay with me for a second. That you've called this in to have people not see you, to almost ignore you, and there's a part of you, it feels, is not wanting to be seen. And whatever it is, whatever, dare I say, insecurity that you may have, it may be subconscious. It may be something you just like totally are not feeling, or that you know, but you're sort of bringing in, I'm going to say, a bit of a painful lesson, because it's not nice to feel like you're not seen. It's not nice to feel like people aren't recognizing you or interested in you. But it's a very specific reason. I think that you've called this in for your soul contract with yourself, to dig in there and get like, what is it that's just not wanting to be seen? So there's a part of you that really wants to date. And then there's another part of you that says, but I just am not sure if I do, if I'm ready for that. And I feel like it's anchored in love. Well, everything's anchored in love or fear. So what are you fearing might be a good exercise. Like, what am I actually fearing in a relationship? And then just dig into that a little bit. Like, what, when you start, if you're a journaler, and journaling is great, because sometimes I find that when the pen hits the paper, it helps to stay a little bit more focused. Because if we're just sitting, sometimes we kind of go around and around. And I think you're going to find that there's some little fear in there, something that is exuding from you, possibly unknowingly, that is kind of putting this bubble around you, like, don't approach me. And so think about how you might be able to find ways to break that. And even if you're into this kind of thing, you could do a meditation, and you could sit in meditation and visualize being in a room and having a lot of women that you feel like, it's your imagination you're using right now, or you can use a previous example and say, oh, okay, well, I'm going to imagine them coming towards me and having this great conversation, and really feeling what that feels like. And then you'll start putting that out, because you're stuck in a program, you're stuck in a pattern right now. And the pattern is that this is what happens. And that's actually what you just said. And then I'm just seeing you writing something else here. I've been to therapy many times with different therapists. I've really tried to heal my insecurities, but I've never been able to. The women I've been interested in aren't interested in me. I don't want to be abused or used, but isn't that everyone? Yeah, and I think that kind of dovetails into what I was starting to touch on, which is doing those visualizations. Because if we get stuck in these patterns, which we do, all of us, we all have a pattern that we don't like, and it exacerbates itself. And the way to overcome those patterns are to start to visualize and feel within ourselves what it feels like to have that pattern change. So we have to do that before it can change. And so if you can sit in a meditative state and really anchor in and just visualize and get excited, because that's the other thing is, a lot of times we don't want to get excited about the new possibility, because the disappointment is so heavy. But that's also what you're calling in right now, is to be excited and curious, and let that disappointment, the possibility of disappointment, go by the wayside. So if you start doing some of those visualizations, the other thing that's coming is, if you have any female friends that you trust, I would ask them to help you with this experiment, and help, let's say this is what's coming. It can be one, it can be two, it can be five women that might be friends, and say, hey, can you just come over and just do this exercise with me, where we're in a room and I'm just going to come up to you as though we're at a party. And I would like for you, as my friend, to tell me how you feel about me as a possible romantic partner. Not for real, but just like what their senses are as a feminine energy. And ask them to be honest, and ask them to be kind. Because it could be that there's a way that you're standing. It could be, sometimes it's like, I'm not saying this is for you, but it could be that, you're just kind of like this, or there's something about that you're not like showing your masculine energy, and your female friends who love you can help you. And they can say, well, you know, how you said that, or how you walked towards me, or your opening line. They'll give you some feedback. They'll give you some tips. And I think that's going to bring you some really interesting information in a kind way. Because the last thing we want is for you to feel like you do the exercise and then you feel bad. And I think you're going to find some women. Okay, but if women aren't seeing me as a partner, how is that up to me? Because you in some way are giving off an energy to them that they shouldn't see you as a partner. It's the masculine. I feel like it's the masculine energy, that there's something within you. And this is what's coming. I never quite know exactly, but it's almost like as though you should do an exercise where you're just like pounding on your chest, like you're just calling the masculine in and pushing the masculine back out in a very flow-like state. And while that might sound like what do you mean? That's kind of a crazy exercise. There is something there for you. There is something that your masculine needs to be like woken up in a way. And I'm not saying you're not masculine. I don't know who you are, but I'm just saying that I feel that there's something about your masculine energy that just needs a, just like needs to get energized and charged. So if you can do that and sit with that, and ask, if you're a good meditator, I don't mean to say good, but meaning that you can quiet your mind, ask yourself, like, what is it about my masculine energy that I'm not wanting to show? What is it that I'm not feeling? Yeah, it's energetic. Yeah, you'll get to it. I know you will. It sounds, and bless you, you've done so much work already. I really appreciate that. I think you're going to find there's some beautiful women that are going to come into your field, but you're going to have to just do a few uncomfortable steps, which is maybe the exercise with your friends and maybe going up to more women and finding a way to just say, I don't give a crap if they don't have interest in me. I'm just going to walk up to them and say something for conversation, like take the friend approach as opposed to I'm going to go ask her if she wants to, like, I want to get to know her. I want to date her. I'm just saying, stay in that real curiosity of like, I want to get to know something about this person because I might want to be friends with them. Or it might be someone that I'm eventually interested in dating. And if they're not interested in dating me and you have a relationship a little bit with them at that point, like not just the first night, but you've chatted with them maybe at several friends' parties, just ask them. Ask them if you feel like it's a safe space for you. What it is that their impression is of you. You'll find a way to ask it that they'll be able to give you some nice feedback that doesn't feel too jarring. All right. Thank you so much for that. Yeah. I feel like it's unethical to ask out a woman unless it's been reciprocated. Women are uncomfortable with being asked out by men they don't find attractive. But here's the thing is I think you have to get beyond the idea of dating and get into the idea of, I want more female friends. I want to date someone, but I want to get to know them more, and I want them to get to know me more. And so there might be a bit of an attachment that you want to have too early. There might be, I don't know, that's not exactly what's coming. I can't get the word. It's not really attachment, but there's something sticky that they might be feeling from you. Get out of this idea that it's for a date. Just get into the idea that I want to get to know you. I don't know if I want, how do you know if you want to date her? You think you do because of maybe the looks, but you may not know because you want to just explore. And that's a beautiful place to be, to not be like asking for a date, but just saying, I want to get to know you and I want you to get to know me. And then let's just explore. Maybe we're friends. Maybe we're more. And I think that'll take some of the pressure off. Each week, I so appreciate you tuning in. Sundays, 11 a.m. Pacific time. And I love your questions and I love bringing through the insights. If you want more support, you can always go to bethbell.me. You can write your questions there, bethbell.me/questions. You can write in the comments here and I'll always pull them forward for the next show. And there's also the Awakening and Healing Handbook on bethbell.me. It's got lots of tips, tools, techniques, and modalities that can help you on your spiritual awakening journey, as well as the Herpes Handbook. And if you're ready for spiritual medicines, there's also the Psychedelics Resource Guide. And of course, you can always find my best-selling book, Angels, Herpes, and Psychedelics, Unraveling the Mind to Unveil Illusions. Until next week, I am wishing you so much bliss and love on the journey. Namaste.